Hey y'all, I'm Tammy, and this is Collard Valley Cooks. Today we're making an old-fashioned favorite. Mama used to make them. You might still make them. Cornflake pork chops. We'll be making up some stewed squash and cabbage too. So if you want to learn how to be a good Southern cook, I'm glad you're here with us at Collard Valley Cooks. Let's get started. All right, y'all, today we're making cereal pork chops. You know, the ones that Mama dipped in cornflakes. That's the ones. All right, I wanted bone-in pork chops, but they were out, and these were on sale super cheap. They're really thin loin chops, and so we're going to make these. You're going to have some cornflakes, and I'm just going to beat them up a little bit. And it's according to how many you're making as to how much of all this you need. But I'm not planning on making a whole lot. So I'm going to add some salt to my flour. This is going to be lightly dredged in flour. I'm going to add some pepper to it, a good bit of pepper. And then this is roasted garlic and red bell pepper seasoning spice blend. I don't think it's salty at all, but I'm going to taste it. Yes, it is. So I won't add that much to it since we already put salt in there. And we're just going to stir this up a little bit. It's going to be just lightly dredged in this flour. We're going to take an egg. You can double this recipe if you're going to make a lot of pork chops, all right? So I'm just using one egg, a little bit of milk. Let me get something to beat it with. Yes, I can use this. Since I got it out, I've used it for 3 things tonight. It's been used. There you have it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to bread these pork chops. Then I'm going to put them right back on the same thing and let them sit for a minute while my vegetables over here cook. So you're going to dip it in the egg. You're going to lightly dredge it in the flour. And you got to be careful not to press the flour part with your bare fingers, or you're just going to get rid of it. So put cornflakes on the top and mash them in like so. Do the same thing on the bottom. And if you need to get out more cornflakes, they're usually pretty affordable, and most of you got some in the pantry. And that's how you're going to do it. So you're just going to dip it, lightly dredge it. Whoops. And coat it. Now, it's only going to take about 2 to 3 minutes aside to make these. I'm going to make them in my iron skillet today. And you could make them in a nonstick skillet if you got one. However you want to cook them is fine. But these are getting kind of big, so I don't know that I'm going to be able to cook more than 2 at a time. It should take our chops about 3 minutes per side, 2 to 3 minutes per side. They're super thin. I'm going to go ahead and turn my oil on. We're already about out of squash in the garden. It don't take squash long to fizzle out and stop blooming. We're going to start our chops to frying. And by the time they're done, I'm going to start with the smallest one first. I cut one in half, so I think I can put 3 of them in here. I didn't think I could put 3 whole ones, but I thought I could put 2 whole and 1 half in here. We're going to see. All right, looking good. I'm going to set the timer. Okay, Chris put on the timer for how many minutes? 3. I don't think it's going to take 3. I think 2 is going to be more than enough. So I'll watch it. When it gets down to 1, we're going to flip it. I remember when my mama would make shake and bake. It was new, you know, when it first come out. And we were just kids, and I remember it. Do you remember shake and bake, Chris? Your mama never used shake and bake. Oh, well, we loved it. Just because it was something different, you know. But we had our own hogs growing up. We had our own beef growing up. So we had our own meat growing up. We had our own pork and beef growing up. So, and they're already getting pretty brown. So the corn is going to get brown quick. So I'm turning that oil down some. And what you can do, if it's really hot like that, to keep it from getting too brown, you can go ahead and flip it and then flip it one more time if you have to. You can tell around the edge where the heat is, that's cast iron. That's what it does. We think it's okay and it's not going to get too brown. When you fry anything, you got to regulate the heat. Do your best. I didn't put hardly any oil in the skillet because these are so thin. They're thicker on one side than they are on another. This is the thick side. That's the thick side. And this one was pretty thick on its own. They've been in there 2 minutes on that side, so I'm going to flip them and let them go 1 more minute on the other side. They look good. That's a good temperature. It's doing really good. Now I'm going to flip them. The only reason I'm having to flip these more than I normally would is because I had to get the heat at the temperature I wanted it to be. And it just took me a minute to regulate it. Normally, if you know what your temperature is, and you know it's set, like if you have an electric stove and you can set it on a setting and you know how hot it gets, and it's easier because you know what number to use. But I don't have that. So I have to regulate my temperature. And then once I get it where I want it, and it is there right now, the next time I fry, I can do them solid 2 minutes one side, 3 minutes another side, or 3 and 3. Now these have been in there plenty long enough to cook. They're thin pork chops. We're going to get them out. They're beautiful. Beautiful. Pretty. Next ones are going in. We'll start with the big ones. This is our first one we battered. All right, we're going to set our timer this time for 2 minutes. Now this is super important because most chops are not that thin. If you're making a regular size pork chop that's cut ½ inch or so, you need to cook them 4 minutes aside. That means you're going to have to stand here, and you really need one of these flippers because it keeps the breading from coming off. But you're going to have to stand here and make sure you regulate that temperature because yours are going to be cooking longer, even mine. But you want the temperature so that it doesn't matter if it sits there 4 or 5 minutes. It's a beautiful brown color, and you can get your temperature, the right temperature to do that. You just have to regulate it, and I can't tell you how to do it. You just got to do your best, just like I did when you started off. If it's getting too brown, turn it down a little bit. If it's getting too brown, turn it down a little bit. But you don't want to turn it down enough that they're not frying. So be careful. We're going to make a little bit of stewed cabbage for me and Chris. I'm not going to make a whole lot because I don't really need leftovers, and I can use the cabbage for other things. So I'm just going to cut it. In pretty big pieces. And we're going to use my stewed cabbage recipe out of the Volume 2 cookbook, and you'll see what we put in there in just a minute. All right, we're going to add a little butter to our wok. You can use a skillet instead of a wok if you want to. You're going to add your cabbage. And I'm going to add just a little bit of onion. It's not in my recipe, and it's just according. I like Vidalia onions this time of year. I don't typically add regular onions to my vegetables at all. But if I get a Vidalia pack of onions and they're on sale or whatever, I will add them to some stuff because I have them to add. But I don't spend the money on them in the winter time for vegetables because we can't get Vidalia onions in the winter around here. You can get sweet onions, but they're still not as sweet as a Vidalia. So what you're going to do is you're just going to beat this up a little bit. Now, I didn't use a whole head of cabbage or even a, equivalent to a medium or a half of a large head. So I'm not using quite as much bouillon as I would if I had. So I'm going to add this bouillon. About a half tablespoon to my water. I'm also not using as much water as I normally would. I don't know if I can get this whisk down in there. Barely. It's a big old whisk. It's a balloon whisk. All right, so you get your water ready like that. Either beat them. Sometimes the cabbage is real loosely packed and it just falls apart real easy. And then sometimes you get a hold of a cabbage that's real dense. You get more cabbage in it that way. But it is harder to separate with just your spoon in the skillet. And as it heats up, it's going to soften anyway. Now I'm going to salt and pepper it a little. And the bouillon has salt in it, so remember that. My butter also has salt in it, so remember that. I'm going to look and see. I'm not really supposed to add any salt, so I'm just going to add a little pepper to it. I love pepper on all my veggies. So we won't add any salt since we got the bouillon in here. And then you just add this and let it cook all the way down. I'm going to have to rinse that out a little bit. And then once this water cooks out of here, our cabbage will be ready. That's simple dimple. And boy, is it good. A lot of people think they got to have bacon and other things in their cabbage to make it taste good. But I can guarantee you, if you make this recipe, you'll be very pleased. We're going to stir this cabbage a little. It's getting soft. And once all of that water cooks out of there, it'll be nice and soft. And then we will let it just glaze off the bottom with the butter. And it's delicious that way. Just delicious, y'all. Next, we're going to make a little bit of stewed squash because we've got it coming out of the garden. We've had it fried and we've had it sauteed. And today, we're going to have it stewed. And I usually just cut it up in round pieces. Cover it with water. Simmer it until it's tender. And then I add salt, pepper, and butter. I don't add the butter until I drain it. And that way, I don't get rid of any of that expensive butter. So you don't want to put your butter in it while it's cooking because you're going to drain it. And you don't want to, like I said, get rid of the butter when you're pouring off the liquid because butter costs too much. I'm just going to cover it with some water. I used the shallow dish just so y'all could see it good, if you're wondering. I'm going to put a lid on it and turn it on. We're just going to cook it till it's nice and soft. And over here we have our squash, and it's doing well. All right, we're going to drain the squash right quick and get it ready to eat. I got me a colander right here, just a simple one. Now we're just going to add it back. We're going to put some butter and salt and pepper in it. So you're going to pepper it. Now a lot of y'all like onion in your squash, but me and Chris thinks it makes the squash taste like onion. And since we put onion in our cabbage tonight, we didn't want both things tasting like onion. So, you know, it's just a preference, whatever you like. If you're an onion lover, you want it in everything. My daughter loves onion. She loves onion powder. She puts it in everything. We're just going to add a pat of butter, a big pat of butter, and let that melt down in there. And then we'll stir it all up together. I usually kind of mash it up together. Let the butter melt in it, and boy, is it good. It's already so hot down here, y'all. You think, oh, well, y'all could plan again, but we can't because it's already 96 degrees down here. And you have to plant your garden early down here because if you don't, it won't survive the heat. Really, tomatoes have a hard time here surviving the heat. It gets so hot here. Boy, that's pretty. Now, them some pretty pork chops. Good old cornflake pork chops. You can't beat them, can you? As well. I got to have a picture of that because it's so pretty. Don't you think? Nice. All right, y'all, we're going to try these. See if they're as good as Mama's used to be. I'm sure they will be. Because it's just an old recipe that everybody used to make. And some of y'all still probably do. Y'all tell us if you still make cornflake pork chops. You can see how beautiful that cabbage is. It's very flavorful. You can see the brownness on it. It has a very good flavor. The bouillon gives it a really good flavor. Oh, I'm going to get one of these that we fried first so that when I cut it, it won't burn me up. All right, let's give it a try. Y'all, I haven't made these. I really haven't made these since me and Chris have been married. Mom used to make them. Y'all, they're better than my fried pork chops. They really are. Will you taste them? What's that about? Oh. They're better. They really are. Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted you to get the big bite because it's got more crunch to it. Ready?
Better than Tammy's fried pork chops. Well, we'll see. I'm good.
Are they better or not?
No, they're just different.
Oh gosh, I think they're better.
Really?
Yes.
They're good. I mean, I have no problem whatsoever. I'm going to eat.
Oh, they're so
like
delicious.
5 pork chops.
All right, y'all. This is a winner pork dinner. Family's gonna Go crazy over it. Make sure you serve it while they're still crispy. This is so good. I hope y'all have enjoyed cooking like Mama did with Collard Valley Cooks. We will see you next time cooking up some old recipes. Y'all come back and see us. We love you. Bye.